Hello and welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I'm your host, Mike Gonzalez. It's going to be one of those episodes. I'm already starting off rough with about 3 takes. My camera was not plugged in, and so it was flashing a low battery little symbol, and so it said that it wasn't plugged in properly. Just exciting, fantastic way to start the episode. And my lighting looked all wonky, so I decided to do a little YouTube how-to lighting video that I swear if I was into doing like how-to videos, I would kill the market, because every YouTube how-to video is frustrating in how it starts off, how it sets up. It doesn't get right to it. Everything's all bleh. So it all seems like one big celebration of the person speaking, and it's unnecessary fluff. Drives me bonkers. It'd be like, how do you screw in a light bulb? Will you get the light bulb screwed in? Talk to you next time. Thank you. Bye. That would be my video. Anyway, so I got frustrated and I just did the lighting, however. So that's why we got all these shadows and weird shadows. It makes me upset. But I'm doing this video late this week. It gets old having to explain myself every week. But this week it's kind of an obvious reason. It was Mother's Day on Sunday, and I had a full day of things to do. We decided to pick up doing Monday night shows, so I didn't get to do it Monday, and so now it's Tuesday, and I'm doing it. I'm a little tired, but the agreement is that I do it. If I'm going to do the Monday shows, I do performances, 4-hour performances downtown, and weekday ones end like at 1 a.m. And if I'm going to do the shows, I've got to be down and not be complaining, because then it's just not worth it. But I'm considering it a sacrifice, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I wanted to touch base first with Mother's Day. Mother's Day mainly this year was a celebration with my wife. Like, we always do like a thing. We went to go to this theme park, which I was very proud of myself, by the way, because I got on like I know the kiddie rides pretty much, but I don't like rides. But I felt like I had to do it for my daughter. So we did this one ride where you have to crank this thing, and it takes you up high, and if you let go and you stop doing the cranking, then you start sinking back down. And so I discovered that it was my kind of ride, because my irrational fears stem from a lack of control. So I, for some reason, felt that if I was in control of raising myself up, that I could go higher and not be, frozen with fear and, squealing like a young girl, which is typical for me being on these rides. But so I watched my wife and daughter get on this ride last time we were there, and I thought to myself, I could really do that one. I think I could, get on for her. See, I would never get on a ride purposely. Like, there's no part of me that says, I bet you it would be fun if we could go to this theme park and get on some stupid ride. That's never part of my thinking. I would never be that person. I'm not a thrill seeker at all. Well, I mean, I like doing certain things that the danger is not physical. It's more like a fear of embarrassment or like trauma, like getting on stage in front of a bunch of people and trying out a song that you have no business trying out and failing miserably, with the chance of failing miserably. I'm okay with that. That's kind of exhilarating to a certain extent in certain ways, but I digress. So anyway, they got on the ride and I watched them, and all they do is they get on and they're just cranking. They want to be as high as you can, and they're going in the circle up high, that's the way they do it. But I said to myself, I bet you I could get on that ride, and I would just stay low at first and figure it out. Right. So this time we went back and they got on their own little, unit, and I got on my own. And to everyone's surprise, I was like, I'll get on, but I'll get on my own. And the ride started up, and there I am at the lowest level, and I would crank it a little bit, and it would, yep, 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 it would go up a little bit, and then I would let go, and it would go back down, and I'd crank it a little more, and then I'd let it go. Meanwhile, it's going in a circle. It only got hairy like at one point towards the end where I cranked it up and I was at the highest point, and I let go, and I was like waiting for the yep, 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 yep to go down, and it just stayed at the highest point for like, in my mind, seemingly forever, but it was like maybe like 5 seconds and then went down, and so the ride's over. I get off and I tell my daughter, let's go on it together so I could say that I got on the ride with you, and she got excited and we got on the ride. But I said, listen, here's the deal. Before we get crazy cranking it up, let daddy kind of get there. You know what I mean? She's like, I just want to go high. And I was like, I get it. Nothing wrong with that. But, I'm doing this, meet me halfway. And it's so silly because this is like the equivalent of like teacups. Like, this is not a big ride, but you have to understand that I'm trying here. I'm like trying to do something that I'm not comfortable with, that I'm not used to, that I don't like doing. I wish I could have shot video because it was humorous. I'll tell you why. Because so we get started, and my daughter's like, okay, I said, look, ready? Let's crank it a little bit. And she's like, and I said, look, watch, let go. And then it went back down. And then, so we start going a little higher, and she's laughing and smiling. And then she lets go. And I said, look, if you do that, and it was going like this up and down rocking motion, it was kind of cool. She thought, oh, well, this is kind of neat. She liked it. And then she cranked it all the way to the top, and we were way high. And I was like, I didn't know how to act about it, but I was like, now let's let go. And then it wouldn't go down. And I was like, ah, ha, ha, like it's not going down. In my mind, I was like panicking. But then we got done, and there was an older lady that was running the ride, and she's like, I guess she thought that it was my daughter that was, nervous going up and down. But she was like, y'all did a good job. You went all the way to the tippy top. And I was like, yeah, okay. Proud of me. But yeah, and then they go on this giant zip line, which is like 10 miles in the air. I'm exaggerating, but they made me watch them do it 4 times. Jeez, man. I swear I have more anxiety than they do, and they're on the ride. Anyway, but one thing I found was interesting was that the park was full of dads taking their kids. I didn't even notice this. My wife was the one that noticed it. Talk about situational awareness. But there was it was just a bunch of dads with no moms and children. And she said, you know, what's going on here is that moms are sending their dads out with the kids and they're staying home by themselves or going to getting like a day spa or like massages or whatever. They're doing a celebration of themselves and enjoying it. And I realized that the difference between them and my wife was that she felt that the celebration was, you know, to be with the child. And I thought that was kind of, I mean, no judgment on the moms that want to have like a day to themselves. But I mean, you know, I just thought it was kind of cool, and that she sees it that way, that she sees time with my daughter to be the celebration. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway. And my mom's kind of a trip because, you know, there's a lot going on there as far as like, she's a lot like I am my mother's child. You know what I'm saying? Like the way my mind works, or like I understand. I don't have a lot of the same things that my mom does, but I understand it because I have my own versions of a lot of the things that she goes through. She has an aversion to like being in social situations. She doesn't like certain dynamics. She prefers to be outside of it, and so a lot of times she'll cancel or not want to go. And it's been like a bit of a frustration with our relationship because, and that was something ever since I was little. It's like a triggering thing. I remember being really small and begging her, please, you know, to go to an Easter celebration that my family was doing. And I remember just wanting her to be there so bad and wanting her to go, and I crying, and, you know, and then, and just knowing that she physically couldn't bring herself to go. And that spoke in the future to, you know, I discovered later in life that she had a difficult relationship with her in-laws and with my dad's side of the family, and struggled with that for the entirety of the marriage and the entirety of my childhood. And it had less to do with me and maybe even her social anxiety than it had more to do with the fact that she struggled with acceptance with that side of the family. So it's a whole complex story, but bottom line was that it's something that I get triggered with today. It sneaks up on me when, like, over the past, I don't know, years since, I mean, I've always kind of tried for the past maybe 15 years to establish some sort of tradition or like for lack of a better term, rituals, like Sunday breakfasts with the family, or holiday traditions, even if they're post or pre-holiday, something where we can get together and everybody know that no matter what, we're going to get together on this day every year, kind of traditions. And for the most part, I can say that I was pretty regimental about it and pretty disciplined. And it was always other family members, but mainly my mom, that would find reasons to cancel, to not do it again, to postpone and then inevitably not do it. And so it's made it difficult to have close relationships within my family dynamic because of that, because it's a struggle to get that central matriarch or that central that family situation to want to get together on a regular basis. Like, you're always contesting. And this year was no different. I gave her ahead of time, like, hey, it's Mother's Day, and it really is. It's much like the mothers that want to celebrate by, relaxing or doing whatever they want to do. It really is up to their mother what she would like to do. As long as she's happy or enjoying it, beautiful. You know what I mean? But I think, especially recently, I've been trying to push her the envelope of that comfortability, just to encourage some sort of FaceTime, some sort of, some semblance of what it's of a mother child, like socialization, like, hanging out. So we talk every day on the phone. We're trying to, like, and sometimes she'll ask, like, why I do that, but it's, as I explained, you have to work towards having a relationship, with your parents, your siblings, whatever. And right now my focus is my mom. She's in her 80s and she's staying at a senior home by her own, I guess, choice, for lack of a better way to explain that. But anyway, not to get all in the weeds with it. But bottom line, we were supposed to have a breakfast this past weekend, and she postponed to next weekend. And so we'll see how that goes. I love my mom, and I think she's fought through a lot of things and has endured a great deal. And so every grain of salt that you can give somebody, I would give her. I think where I'm at right now is just, you don't want it to be too late. You know what I mean? You don't want to miss the opportunity. And so that's where I'm at with that. So I'll keep fighting the good fight. I'm going to try again on Saturday. We'll see if we get together. So my wife tells me that, and I agree. I took my son to a lot of cool things when he was little. We never did the Disney World or Disneyland, but we went to, the different theme parks, and I think he would have enjoyed, because he loved cars, the cartoon cars. He would have enjoyed it. But I think maybe, I would still take him to, maybe we'll go to like Indy races, or like I'll take him to a professional driving course, or something. We'll do these kind of things. But she pointed out that my daughter's, not like I'm oblivious or stupid, but my daughter's 9 years old, and before she gets too old for it, she wants to go to Disney World. So my wife took the big leap and signed us up to go next year. in May. And it's not cheap, let me tell you what. And we're doing like a little mini baby vacation. And to be honest with you, I'm slightly overwhelmed with the amount of, my wife's very good at spending money. But it's partially why I'm taking these Monday shows again. I think, first of all, because I was blessed with the opportunity. I mean, I didn't seek them out. It's just when the opportunity came, the rationale was that I need the money. So maybe this is serendipitous. I'll do it, right? So, one thing I did want to say was that I'm not flying there. And I know the first reaction is that I'm afraid to fly. I've never flown before, and I'm avoiding flying. And how are they enabling me through not having me fly out there? How are they, coddling my fear? Well, before you judge me, okay? But absolutely judge me. But before you judge me, I discussed with my wife. She wanted to go in Florida. She wanted to go to these particular beaches that were about an hour and a half away from Disney World. And she wants to do a little bit of driving between some different resorts and different things that she wants to do. And plus she has all these, because my daughter can't walk for long distances and things, there's a lot of wagons and things that we need to take. So driving down there was justified by having all these different factors. But I'm not going to lie to you and say that that was why. The way initially it came up was, we're going to go to Florida. And I said, cool. It's a long drive. And they're like, no, we're flying. And I said, nah. If they would have said, yes, we're flying, and there's nothing you can do about it, I would be having nothing but anxiety for the next 12 months. It would just be daily panic sweats of things to come. And I could, do what I had to do to figure out how to get through life. But see, this way I'm having like this really good Jack Kerouac sort of like vision of what that drive's going to be like. Like, my vacation is going to be from driving alone across the country. I'm going to go through New Orleans, and I'm going to go through, I hate my lighting. And look at this. It's held up by tape and good intentions. That's all this thing is. So it looks like a horror movie. It sucks. Anyway, sorry if you're just listening to the podcast. One of my light fixtures, which was held up by duct tape, obviously not very good duct tape, just fell over, drooped down, and cast a shadow across my face like I'm trying to tell scary stories by a campfire. It's stupid. Anyway, yeah, I mean, if I could have 2 weeks off, I would drive and go to, I would just make a tour of it and go visit, like make a beeline to Nashville, and then, but anyway, I'm going to drive across the country and have an adventure, listen to podcasts or watch binge TV shows while I'm driving. Not looking at them, of course. Disclaimer, don't look at TV while you're driving. But, stop at different truck stop gas stations and make a go of it. You know what I mean? Have an adventure. I even thought about posting to friends and seeing if anybody wanted to just, take the drive down and then for the adventure and then Greyhound it back or like fly back or do whatever they wanted to do. But somebody pointed out to me that I should just take advantage of that opportunity to have that time. So in a way, I'm pretty excited about that. I'm at least a little excited. And then when the trip is done and have all those memories and everything that we do down there, then I would drive back by myself, and take all of the souvenirs and junk, pack all that so they don't have to put it on a plane, and they could just take on a carry-on if they want, or just walk on the plane because I got a car. And they would just need to take a handbag or something, a carry-on with their cell phones and, hand sanitizer or whatever the BS they need to carry in there. And I can, do a cruiser, have a drive. That's going to be fun. But, yeah, so, I did want to open up myself for criticism for that, because I know there are those that want people to face their fears and to embrace them and seek them out, in fact, find opportunities to challenge their fears. But yeah, that's that. So we've talked about my son. My son is 18 years old. Yeah. He's always been a very vehicle-centric kind of person. He's always wanted to be a driver since he was a kid, since he was a tiny little baby. He wanted to be a driver. We've talked about that at length. But he was also given, I gave him a car, right? He had to pay insurance on it, which is ridiculous. If average, it was like $500 for insurance. It's ridiculous. I get it. They're liable to get into accidents or prone to get in accidents at that age or what have you. But, it's just insane. But to get to work and different things, I gave him just a simple, safe car that he could drive to work and so on. I feel like I want him to learn how to be responsible, learn how to, but I don't think that it's good parenting to like tie his hands behind his back and make it difficult for him to do simple things and function just to prove a point, like to get him to be able to earn enough money to get his own car. So struggle through all this. And the reason I say that, and I put it that way, is because it's all to each his own individual parenting program per kid. And in my kid's case, he was already doing he had already started his own landscaping business and was working really hard, earning money for his mom and put into his household and to do all this. And he was borrowing his great grandfather's truck to do jobs and stuff. And so he's worked really hard, and he's 18. He's taken a year off of college, but he didn't sit on his laurels. He got a full-time 40-hour-a-week job, and he works hard even on the weekends and does other projects and stuff. But I always want him to catch a break, because I think his perception of reality is very skewed. It's very negative at times. And I hear him talking, and sometimes I listen to him, and it sounds really cynical for 18. Like, he deals with his mother, and it's a lot. No fault of her own. It's just that's their relationship, and that's their story to tell. But it's a lot of work on both their ends. But a lot of times he is way too used to being disappointed, and far too accustomed to having to settle. And he called me about a week ago, and he was like, and look, it's been like an ongoing learning process for my son, but he would send me a message on my phone, and it would be a picture of a truck for sale, and he'd say, "This is the one. Look at all this amenities it has, and yeah, it's got high miles, but," and he would give me a speech. He wants an older truck that he can, maintain by, fixing it with his hands. Who's that, right? It's not me. That's his mom, or that, maybe it's from me too, but from like my dad and different people. But I would tell him, you're putting the cart before the horse. You have no means of financing it. You have no money saved up. And he would go so far as to call different sellers, and like ask questions about the vehicles and things. And then I would tell him that's not good, because these people really want to sell their vehicles. They don't want to entertain the musings of a boy wanting to just find out about stuff. But anyway, this went on for a long time, and it's a learning process. And he has a job, and I'm telling him, set aside money, have a savings, establish credit, and one thing, lessons. But he's always had his eye on getting what he wants and working towards it, figuring out a way. So the other day, I tell him, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that, we get to talking about this cart before the horse, and I said, what you need to do is contact the bank, speak to a loan officer, find out where you're at in the process, learn, apply for a loan, see if you need to put down a certain amount of collateral, what you need to do, get a pre-approval amount. And then when you look at these vehicles, you can look with a bit of authority, like, you could get it or not. You're not just wasting time. And I said, I'll help you in any way I can. So he calls and he says, this is the truck. He's figured it out. He's found it. So much so that he said, okay, I get it. I'm not going to approach him. I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to go to the bank. I'm going to go through those steps. And then he calls me a few days later, and he's excited. He says he was approved for the loan. But then they find out that the vehicle is more than 9 years old. And because he wants an older truck. He wants a truck that doesn't have as many hurdles with the computer stuff. It's more hands-on. But they said because of the extent of his credit history, because he's so young, obviously, he doesn't have long-term extended proof of credibility of established credit history. They decided to not loan him the money. And I said either he's just denied or he needs to go with a cosigner. He was devastated. He called me up and he's like, in that same sort of tone and disenfranchised, withdrawn, melancholy attitude. He was kind of like, I guess, back to the drawing board. I don't know. And so long story short, I went ahead and I co-signed the loan with him. So I've got all kind of like anxiety, not about that specifically, but it's like I told him, I know life happens. I know that we can plan with all of the good intentions that there are to make payments and to keep our job or to, but circumstances arise, you know what I mean? You just have to be ready for them. And I coach him and I tell him, you get a 60-day runway before you make your first payment. I said, just start from day one before the 60 days even starts and pretend like you have payments and just start putting them away. And then if you ever get into any sort of situation, you'll have, say this is an older truck, so you might need parts. And so you need to put money down on it. You'll have a little extra money set aside. And anyway, but I have faith in him. And I think more than anything else, I want him to know that even though I know the odds aren't always in his favor, because he's 18, he's got a lot of potential hurdles that are coming, I'll still bet on him. You know what I'm saying? He needs to know that the faith is there. You know what I mean? Because you build on that. I talk to people and they're like, yeah, well, this could happen, that could happen. And for me, it's like, why put all that out in the universe? Why entertain those types of thoughts? You can plan and have contingencies, but in terms of like setting them up for failure, I don't think that's the way to go. But anyway, this comedian said this one line, and I wanted to say it out loud, paraphrase anyway, because it really had a profound impact on me, and I want to repeat it in hopes that maybe it'll fall on somebody else's ears that maybe needs to hear it. But he said, imagine for a moment that you were you 10 years from now, and you were approached and were asked, how much would you give? How much would you pay to have the health that you had 10 years ago, to have the mobility, the the conscious wherewithal, where your mental faculties there. What would you give? What would you pay? What would you? And he said most anybody would give anything. If you want to put it in perspective, say your current age and say 10 years prior, what would you give to go back and have the the knees that you had at 20, or the strength that you had when you were 17, 18, 25, whatever it is. But his point was that not in a looking back kind of way, but in a looking at present through sort of a simulated venture into the future. Like, a lot of times we get caught up in that sort of, that focus on how the knees kind of hurt a little bit. There's a little discomfort after doing a jog, or feeling weak because you don't get to exercise as much as you want, and you feel like you're at the before picture, before the before physical strength and stamina and weight, and you just want to get past step 1 and get to like day 90 where you're killing it. But there's you have to kind of take a minute and say, I like where I'm at. I can work with it. If I was 80 years old or 70 years old, I'd be dealing with a lot more physical ailments and things that just naturally come whether we like it or not. And so I need to revel in the fact that I have what I have today and build on it. And that's a better way of looking at it. It sort of pushed me through a lot. And like I say, I talk to my mom every day, and she talks to me about sitting around at the senior home with all these different folks that are, she says that they literally talk about death almost daily over lunch or whatever they're doing. People that are 90, in their 90s, people in their upper 80s, but also people that are afflicted with horrible degenerative diseases in their 70s and late 60s, like, that are put into these homes, and they all struggle with the mortality and the awareness of their station in life, and it gives perspective of not only the fragility of life, but just of the immediacy of whatever it is that you want to accomplish, whatever it is that you want to achieve, whatever it is that you feel is important to you. Not to put it off to tomorrow or what have you. Like right now, I should be making up for sleep. I should be asleep right now. But the reality of the situation is that if I don't do it right now, I'm going to be chasing it all week. And then next, I'm in another situation where I'm doing double episode on a Sunday because I just never found the time, and I'm not really wanting to do that. So, but also it's been pushing me to do my dieting, my exercising, my working on my health, is that all too immediate awareness of my ability to make excuses and not to do what needs to get done. So instead, I'll echo that person's advice and try to hold on to it in a real sense, try to own it and make the best decisions I can based on it, you know. You know what else helps? Some friends went to go see one of my performances, and unbeknownst to me, I was just singing the songs and off in my own world, doing whatever, enjoying my moment, like internally, and not focused on anybody out there. They took photographs of me singing. And I think that everybody should have candid photos of themselves. Somebody like taking a picture of you when you're not knowing that they're taking a picture of you, to really see, you know, there's what you look like, right? When you're looking in the mirror, whenever, I mean, obviously there's also what you look like in really bad lighting or whatever, but there's nothing like seeing yourself unfiltered and unprepared in a very organic moment, right? That was the light fixture just saying it quit and just jumped to the ground. So they took these pictures of me. They sent me one, and it is the photograph that I want to print and put up on my bulletin board to wake up and see every day. And I guarantee it'll motivate me to get in shape, because that dude's got problems, man, and poor guy. But you know what? I say that, but I'm telling you, I've been working hard, and I'm getting progress. It's just seeing yourself like that really sort of wakes you up. It's like when I was making this comment the other day. I play shows until like 1 a.m, but when you're doing those shows, I have to drink like over a gallon of water just to get through the show and to sing and to keep everything, you know, lubricated and nice, and, you know. So, see, you finish the show, you come home, and of course you're waking up throughout the night to go to the bathroom because you just drank a half a gallon of water. What do you expect? But that's also a form of candid moments, because sometimes you could be half asleep and go, but on occasion you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and not recognize yourself, you know, because you're not getting ready and see. You just came around the corner and startle yourself with reality, you know. But anyway, the last thing I was going to leave you with was, we were on stage, and this never happens. It's kind of a new phenomenon, but there was music coming from the jazz club next door, and people talking and things rustling and things going, and my cousin was asking if I could learn this song, if I wanted to try it. And he was like, just listen to the chords, you know, real quick. But sometimes you do this in the middle of the set, right? There's somebody who requests a song, and you may not know it, but you kind of know it, but you kind of heard it a bunch of times. You might be able to fake it but then, like, so all of a sudden my head felt like it weighed 1,000,000 tons, and I couldn't hear the notes. I couldn't hear anything. With all of the bombardment of stimulus, I could not hear myself think. I could not hear, I couldn't focus on my voice, or and it never happens like that. But it startled me, and it kind of gave me pause, because I ended up telling my cousin, I said, I can't right now. I can't hear myself think, man. I can't do it. And it was just weird. I'm not gonna say that's never happened before, but recently it's never happened. I haven't had that phenomena, but sometimes it does happen, not in that context, but in like a work situation where they're coming at you from all different directions, and you're trying to think of what to do next, and it's too much happening at once. I used to be able to compartmentalize, and to be able to say, okay, sort of like where like everything gets sort of quiet and slow motion, and you sort of organize things, and you say, okay, I'm going to address this first. I'll look at that second. Especially in my previous jobs, I was able to get into very hectic situations and navigate them in order to get out. But I think it's a matter of being out of practice, and also being overwhelmed with just the volume of things, where just noise was coming at me at all angles, and it bugged me. So anyway, that just happened the other day, and so I had it on my mind. I wanted to talk about it. Sort of recentering yourself and trying to get past that sometimes is difficult. All right, well, this was a nice visit. Hopefully we'll see y'all on Sunday and get new lighting or better duct tape. And y'all take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. Bye.